Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tar Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on OMTimes Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Eros Evolution. This is where sexuality and spirituality meets. So I'm Martha. I'm a clinical sexologist with a doctorate in human sexuality, and I'm from Eros Coaching. That's eroscoaching.com. And every week I have a different guest, and today we have somebody from London, and she's Jenni Joy. And we'll be discussing the extraordinary impact of cultivating pleasure rituals in daily life. And today's show title is Give Us This Day Our Daily Pleasure. Sounds like a prayer. So she will explain how it impacts your orgasmic vitality and zest for life, and simple ways in which we can all start to implement these practices, whether we are single or in a relationship. She will explain the importance of relaxation not only as a foundation stone for greater pleasure, but also the space from which our deepest desires and our strongest creative urges emerge. So a little bit more about Jenni Joy. She's a leadership, life, and intimacy coach. She blends clinical sexology with the energetic arts of tantra, sacred femininity, and transformation alongside leading-edge tools in the field of personal development. She's a board member of the Association of Somatic and Integrative Sexologists, and co-teaches and runs the Art of Tantra Massage professional training with John Hopkins and the Path of Transformation, as well as her own events. So she has her own modern lifestyle sex education brand with Catherine Burley called Juicy. So it's juice, it's juice, but it ends with Z-I-E, which brings together the very best of accessible, sensual, sexual education. She teaches modern tantric technologies to entrepreneurial communities and leadership groups as well, and is currently creating a revolutionary new program in this field called Serenity in Leadership. So her website is jennijoy.co.uk, and she also has another website, serenityinleadership.com. So welcome to the show.
Hi, Martha. It's lovely to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for saying yes.
It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk about these vitally important topics and to reach new people with such wonderful and critical information for improving our lives.
Thank you. Yes, so I've been following your work and posts for a while, and realized, you do good work. And I also saw you, I think, in photographs with my teacher, Laurie Handlers.
Yes, Laura's a good friend of mine. We are involved in various programs together, including ISTA. We were in the jungle together in Brazil very recently at the Core Tribe gathering. And then she was recently here in London, and we did a lovely sex magic evening. And I'm hoping she's going to come back next year, and we're going to do some work on a workshop. She's going to lead a workshop on hypnotherapy for lovers, and also probably on Tantra meets BDSM. So we've got a full schedule, I think, lined up for next year.
Wow,
yeah, I love Laura, and I love the way that she works. She's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful being that, gives her all to everything that she does. She's amazing. So
amazing.
Yeah.
So it's funny because she's my teacher, and after we scheduled, suddenly, you started popping up with her. And then I was like, what are the odds? It's funny. Anyway. Yeah. Glad to know that you connected to her, with her. I really miss her this year. Haven't seen her this year. Okay, so anyway, back to the show.
Yeah.
So, Yes. So, you could talk about many topics today. So many things. And I'm just curious, like, why this topic of give us this day our daily pleasure? It must be really important to you.
It's a really important topic for me because really, as individuals, we're nothing more than a sum of our habits. And so if we start to do an inventory of our habits and how we're really spending our time in our life, then we can actually get, a lot of people have things that they say, this is what I want to do, or this is the life that I want to lead. But actually, when you then start coaching them and talking to them about what are you actually doing with your time and how are you living your life, what they claim they want versus what they're actually doing look very, very different. So if we start to look at those things, we can start to make adjustments. And so what I'm very interested in doing is helping people to find simple ways of introducing more pleasure in their lives. And this particularly came to me out of the tantra field. And I mean, tantra is my own spiritual path. It's a very big part of my personal practice and my personal discipline. But obviously, it's a very difficult word. It's subject to all of these different kind of like interpretations and meanings. There's many different schools of thought. But one of the sort of enduring things is, of course, that when people link tantra with sex and tantric sex, and then they'll say that, well, tantric sex takes hours and we just don't have hours. We're a time-pressed couple with children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I was very keen in actually helping people I live in London, incredibly busy city in the world. It was like, how can I give people little things they can do to actually help them to increase the amount of pleasure, particularly sensual sexual pleasure, but all pleasure, all the level of orgasmic vitality we can feel in every single moment of the day. How can I give them little things to change? Because when you start to change the little things, then the whole orientation of your life starts to shift quite radically. So that's what I love about habits is, we start to look at that. If we can find what Duhigg calls our keystone habit, what's one habit that we can change today, and then that one usually has kind of like a domino effect and enables us to change a lot of other things that we want to get into better alignment with what we're trying to move in our life. So this for me is a big piece. It's a very practical way of working with people, and it has great results. So that's why I love this principle around pleasurable habits. And it's full of many, many amazing, imaginative, creative ways in which we can do that. So the possibilities for how we do it are endless too.
Amazing. So of course everyone's curious now, what are the habits you're talking about? Is this linked to what you mentioned, orgasmic vitality?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I do is I like to start my day with a practice of orgasmic vitality, which means that I like to get my energy going in my body. And for me, that will be usually some form of movement practice, and I like to vary that. But a classic one that I will do, as you've probably heard, just to give one example, is you've probably heard of Kundalini shaking. So I'll do a Kundalini shaking ritual. And, again, I mean, 5 minutes is better than no minutes. And if you can shake for 10 to 15 minutes, and that's even better. But do something rather than do nothing. That's what I always say about the habit piece. And so that will start to raise my energy, and then I'll take that into a sort of what I call a dolphin wave, which is a wave that works through your spine. And then I can then, through my intention, feel my energy moving through my body, and I can focus on what I want to achieve in the day. And then I'll complete that with the meditation. And that's a practice that you can really do, as I say, I like to do it as I teach it as a 15-minute practice. But it's very, if you can only do something for 5 minutes in the morning to focus and center and get present in your day, then that's a wonderful thing to do and will have a big impact. So I'd like to, once we get our what I like to call out our energy moving, and I call that orgasmic vitality, then we can maintain our contact with that through the day, and we can use that to energize our life. And I find that when people are struggling with so much stress in their lives these days. Finding access to this energy that does sit in our pelvis and is very often actually locked down and trapped down there. When you give people access to that, you actually give them access to a huge battery of reservoir of reserves that they can actually call on through their daily life, and it makes them much more productive and much happier. And of course, sensually and sexually, it has miraculous results too.
Beautiful. Okay, we have 2 minutes to break. I want to summarize what you just said because there was a lot in there, and you're very generous in sharing this amazing practice. Maybe listeners not get it, but I want to just repeat it. So it's called Orgasmic Vitality. That's Jenni's loves practice, and it's a variation of Kundalini shaking. So you start shaking for 5 minutes. It raises your energy, and then she does the dolphin wave that helps move energy through her spine, using her intention for the day. Send that energy to the day, and then end the practice with a meditation. So the whole thing would take about 15 minutes, and she says it's something is better than nothing. I completely agree with her. And the benefits are that you activate the energy in your pelvis instead of being locked down and trapped down there. It circulates through your body basically, and you will feel more productive and happier.
That's right. Well done. That's a beautiful summary, Martha. Congratulations.
I'm taking notes. I'm very serious.
I get that.
I really respect what you have to say. Oh, yeah. So the break is coming up. And after this break, we will learn more with Jenni Joy.
Thank you.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to The Astrology Show for guidance. Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rain.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by RAIN and this station.
And welcome back to the show. We're with Jenni Joy, and today's show is Give Us This Day Our Daily Pleasure. And you can find her at Jenni Joy, that's JENNI, joy.co.uk, and also serenityinleadership.com. And just before break, we were talking about the importance of pleasure and how we are the sum of our habits, and begin to talk about this practice called Orgasmic Vitality. So one of the things that happens these days is that many people are very stressed and busy, so they can't relax, and it takes them hours to unwind. And this is a challenge when you get home and you are busy, tired, stressed. It takes you hours to unwind, and then lots of my clients, by that time, then go back to, go to bed. So they're not really doing anything in their lives outside of work other than unwind. So, Jenny, do you have any suggestions what people could do about that?
Again, when I work with people, what I propose is that this is part of looking at the habits piece. And what you want to do is create a sort of step change when you walk through the door, so that you do something, whatever it is. So some people need to go for a walk or go for a run or go to the gym or do something active to work off some of that sort of like excess tension. So some people do need to do some kind of physical activity, and I think it's really good to know if you're that type of person where you really need something physical to help you wind down at that point. And for other people, they prefer slower practices like yin yoga, tantra yoga, meditation, and they're obviously all very, very good for calming the mind. And for other people, they find, for example, cooking is a great practice for grounding and for just slowing down. So these are different things that you do. I mean, having said that, I've got one client, and she loves watching soap operas. She has like her soap, it's a British soap opera. I don't remember the name. And she's like, I know everyone says this is like, in the spiritual circles, like this kind of stuff is rubbish, but this is how she switches her brain off, and she works very hard. She'll just put it on playback, and she just gets 20 or 25 minutes, but she gets absorbed in another world, and then she can come out of that, and then she can start her evening and do what she wants to do. So I also don't like that we get kind of arrogant around what are these little habits. So what I'm talking about is some kind of step change. What can you do to create a change in pace between your working day and then the evening that you want to have ahead of you? Of course, for some people, if you've got kids, you're coming home at night and you're incredibly busy and you've got a whole new life to give energy to. So, there's an awful lot going on for people these days around that. And it's, everybody's looking for different things. I love some of these meditation apps like Headspace, for example. I love Heart Math, which is another meditation app that I use with people who are very resistant to learning meditation. I find that's very successful. I think it's got some beautiful science behind it, and because it's got the biofeedback device on it, that helps people who are not classic meditators to see a result very quickly. So I try to use things where people, there's a sense they need some techniques like meditation, and it's a medication then, not medication, meditation, which are very good for these types of things. Where they've got resistance, I try and find what is a way in which is going to help them to go with this and work through their resistance and get into a practice which they kind of know on one level is going to be good for them and that they want to do, but they're finding a lot of resistance. So yeah, this is a big topic. I mean, this is a big topic for all of us, I think, in this field right now. Yeah.
Okay. So let me summarize. So what Jenni Joy is saying is, in order to transition from stress, do something physical, yin yoga, tantra yoga, cooking, soap opera works for some people. She mentioned this app called Headspace, and there was something else you mentioned about heart math. The Heart Math meditation program. Heart Math, and it has a biofeedback device that you can attach to your phone. And then you can actually see what's happening with your variable heart rate during the meditation practice. You can actually see your body calm down. So it's a fantastic system for people who are resistant to meditation, because they'll see the results of what they're doing. And I find that they find that very motivating. Yes, got it. So I actually have that device. It's called Heart with your Heart Math. MATH.
That's right.
So it's two words combined. Yes. So I'm glad I got that. Yes, it's really good because they have like all kinds of features, different like music or like some kind of a scenario you could look at. And they measure your heart rate. She's right. It is you can actually track your progress over time. You can actually go into a state of relaxation very quickly over time because you see your progress, and then when you practice, it does get easier and faster.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So there
what
is resistance.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Carry on, Martha.
Yeah, go on. No, go on.
I was just going to say, I just want to make sure we cover, because this is my big thing in my work as a sort of tantric sexologist, is that, of course, not necessarily when they get home from work, but at some point in the day that they want to, I encourage everybody to have a habit which is about, they're in pleasure in their body and they're feeling pleasure in their body. So that may not be when they come in from work. It may be first thing in the morning. It may be last thing at night. But actually giving ourselves time to really feel into our pleasurable orgasmic energy every day and staying in contact with that is obviously a big part of my work and my mission.
Okay, so for people out there who are not familiar with this term, what does connecting with our orgasmic energy mean?
It means it means actually feeling, taking some time in the day to feel pleasure in our body, to feel to feel the energy of our. We may not want to kind of spill over into orgasm. We may just want to take that energy into our body and just enjoy it and feel revved up. But it's a great thing to do when you come home from work, to actually, as a step change practice as well. So that's why I wanted to mention it now. And it's particularly good for women who are, I'm sure you have clients like this as well, who claim that they're losing touch with their desire, and everybody overuses this phrase, use it or lose it. But it's fundamentally true. It's like if we want more pleasure, then we've got to ask for it. We've got to request it. We've got to go into our bodies and see how our pleasure wants to express in our bodies. And that's a daily practice. And it's fun, so it's wonderful to do that.
Thank you so much. So what I'm getting is what Jenni Joy is mentioning, that orgasmic energy, we connect with orgasmic energy, and we can access that through being conscious about having pleasure in our life, whether it's the first thing in the morning or last thing at night. And it's not about an orgasm, it's about taking in that energy. So I love what you are teaching us, because I wouldn't have been able to articulate it the way you have. So I'm really grateful once again that you're here on today's show. I really am. So one of the other things that a lot of tantric practitioners, teachers, they talk about is touch as a practice. So could you explain more about the importance of touch?
Oh my goodness, that's have I got 4 minutes before we go to the break to talk about touch? Is critical. Maybe we'll come back to this again afterwards. I mean, I teach practitioners tantra massage with John Hawken at the Paths of Transformation, and touch for me is a fundamental piece of getting back in touch with our bodies. So we've got the ability to touch ourselves more than we do, and to actually resensitize our bodies when we're trying to find more pleasure in our bodies. And then, of course, there's the way that we touch others. And, of course, touch feels quite forbidden in society quite often. But touch is a fundamental human requirement. And there's a part of our soul which, when we're not getting the kind of touch nourished by touch, we're kind of bleeding inside. So I think it's very, very important to teach the principles of touch, and, whether it's grounding touch, whether it's healing touch, whether it's touch for pleasure. So the different types of touch that we can actually give to somebody through our intention, and also the type of physical touch that we're creating, is very, very, very important. And many people have never been taught these skills, and they have very little awareness. And it's classic when we're working with couples, when I'm working with couples, that, there's a disconnect between understanding what touch the other one wants, particularly when a guy is giving touch to a woman, partly because a woman's skin is much more sensitive than a man's skin is. So there's really fine-tuning and becoming exquisite at the art of touch is something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and there's huge results from working with people to improve quality of touch. And it's not just about pleasure, it's also about healing. And yeah, it's hard to talk about on the radio. It's like, but it has tremendous benefits. And very difficult in cities where there's a lot of single people, people are living alone a lot, and therefore, you know, they're not getting enough touch in their lives. I mean, one of my tantra schools has this beautiful suggestion, which is that, you know, everybody needs 7 hugs a day. And I think that's so true. In the US, Reed Mihalko invented cuddle parties for people who weren't getting enough touch in their everyday lives. And these are all things which, you know, which are rolled out across the world now, the cuddle parties. We've got many of them in London. And it's very, very important to actually work out what kind of touch we need, you know. And of course, you know, so I'm touch is a basic requirement without even getting into the intricacies of massage, because of course we can then learn, if you like, enhanced touch skills, which are based on massage. And then we can even take that into energetic touch. We'll even talk about touching with our words. So right now, the only touch I can use in this conversation is the touch I can create through my energy and through my words. And so that's where my intention and my focus is going in this conversation right now.
Beautiful. Thank you. So yeah, there's a lot there. I'm trying to look at what I managed to capture. The importance of being able to use touch to resensitize ourselves, and it can be used for grounding, for healing, for pleasure, and we can use touch to move energy in our body. So yeah, we're going to talk more about this big subject after this break.
Lovely.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
What's up? This is Brad and Mike from Lincoln Park for Life Beat, the music industry fights AIDS. Listen up, times are tough and you get a lot of things thrown your way. If you're being pressured to have sex and you're not ready, then say no. If you're having sex, be smart and use protection. Respect yourself and protect yourself.
For more information, call the National AIDS Hotline at 1-800-342-AIDS or log on to www.lifebeat.org.
And you are listening to Arrow's Evolution on the OMTimes Radio Network, and you can share the show with your friends by going to the link omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, you'll be able to listen to the show without needing to download any app. Today's show is Give Us This Day Our Daily Pleasure, and we are with Jenni Joy. She's based in London. She's a leadership, life, and intimacy coach. What she does is she blends sexology with tantra, sacred femininity, and transformation with leading tools in the field of personal development. So she does several things. She teaches tantra. She does her own events. She also has a modern lifestyle sex education brand with Catherine Burley, and it's called Juizie, Juizie, and you can find that by going to Twitter. There's Druzy Life. So just before break, we were talking about touch. So anything you would like to elaborate on, Jenni?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that touch is also the best way to get us back into our bodies. And I'm a very big believer of the wisdom of the body, and that we can find our kind of like our core truths live in the cellular memory of our body, which is what is taught through body psychotherapy and bioenergetics. And for me, this is a kind of fast track path to personal development. So I use somatic coaching methodologies with people who are open to it, because I do think it works quicker than just doing talk coaching. So I'm a big believer in this, and actually helping people back into their bodies and to really feel, emotionally what is going on for them and what is it. And when you can create that connection and get people centered, particularly in their heart and in their tummies, in their guts, where we hold all of this emotional tension. It's like the work that we can do with somebody when we can actually just focus on these areas. And we were talking about how do we deal with stress in our lives. And of course, stress appears in the body as tension. A lot of people will be most aware of tension that they carry in their shoulders, for example. It's a classic place where we hold tension. It's seen as this place of like, this is the weight on our shoulders, So people are sitting, literally, this body of ours, this blessed body that we've given, this is, it's full of information, and if we just start listening to it, we can really move our personal and spiritual journey on much more quickly than otherwise. So number one, I think that this principle around getting into our bodies and getting comfortable with touch, I think that this is really, this is sort of like next generation technology that is becoming much more mainstream. And then, of course, in our personal relationships, and particularly in our intimate relationships, when we learn skills like tantra massage, we can really, really improve the quality of connection and intimacy that we feel with somebody else. And we can learn new ways to touch, which we're completely unaware of. And we find new parts of our body which have certain qualities of touch or certain things that they like that we didn't know. And so it's a beautiful thing to do, and particularly for couples that have been together for a long time. I love it when they come and they learn tantra massage with us, and it's like you just see that whole new avenues open up. And this is what we're using. We're using these forms of touch as a way also to actually open up people's understanding and experience of energy in the energy body. So this is also, when people say to me, what is this thing, energy, that you talk about? It's like one of the best ways to get them to experience it is to give them a massage or a touch experience where they start to become aware of the energy that they're experiencing in their body as a result of that contact or that type of movement. So that's a really big, this is a very, very big piece for me. And it was personally my personal journey. It was, people say, how do you do what you do? How come your body does what it does? And my own journey was a journey back into my own body and finding this bits of me that needed to be listened to. And then once they got listened to, then actually finding this stillness and this calmness, and this place where I could, stop running away from and really come home. And it's like, if you like, the seat of our soul. And that place, when we find that place in ourselves and we start to lead our life from there, rather than leading it from all of the external messages which are being thrown in at us and all of the things that we think we've got to do and the ways in which we've got to perform, coming back to our own center, finding our own center, our own core, and moving from that place in the world gives us a strength and a wisdom in our actions, which has a completely different quality to it, and it's also wonderful in terms of moving out of a stress-orientated life. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Just to summarize, Jenni Joy is mentioning about the importance of coming back to our body, and when we do so, we realize that there are bits inside us that wants to be listened to, and we will start to listen to it, and from there it comes stillness, calmness, and that will we can lead our lives through there. And also from all these things that we do, pleasure, listening, stillness, that also comes a strength and a wisdom, and that is a much better way to live life, in my opinion, as well. So really profound things that you are sharing, making a case for pleasure returning to our body, and never heard it quite spoken in this way. Really appreciate you a lot. Truly.
Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that you mentioned
earlier. I wanted to say something. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I just come back to this point about coming back to our core in this place of stillness is that a lot of people are using sex and orgasm to relieve stress, and particularly through masturbation practices, but it also happens when we have sex too. And this is kind of friction-based sex for sort of stress reduction. And actually, when we get to a point where we move into a place of deep relaxation in our bodies, and then find how do I want to be, in my life, and then also how do I want to be with another, and what kind of sensual connection do I want to explore with another in this moment. This is a very intimate, it can become highly erotic, an extraordinary place of connection with ourselves, and also that's when also we feel this connection with spirit, and connection with earth and nature and everything it is in the universe. So this place it's a wonderful place to arrive at.
Thank you. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Instead of just using our sex and orgasm unconsciously, just being at peace with ourselves, being back in our bodies, having pleasure, we actually go into deep relaxation within ourselves, and then the question we can ask ourselves, how do I want to be in our lives, will allow us to show up much more, and we become much more charged. And so you're mentioning this erotic place within ourselves.
Exactly, and connecting with another. It's like this is a beautiful place to make love from, this place of deep relaxation, and connecting from there, and then allowing a beautiful divine dance, erotic dance to play out between two people. And the dance dances itself when you're in that space. There's a sense of I'm doing something to them or they're doing something to me disappears, and there's this fluidity and this exquisite beauty to this dance.
Yeah, I think we get so caught up with being very much results oriented, performance driven, must get to the orgasm, and if we ourselves are relaxed, then we can just kind of be more in flow, and be in this dance that you are talking about. In a dance, it's not just physical; it's also energetic, and less about steps. Energetic dance.
Yeah, this is exactly, you just described it as flow. This is a very it's a flow state with beautiful qualities to it. So yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so one of the things that you mentioned just now was woman's skin is more sensitive than a man, I was wondering whether you could elaborate more on that, because this is something I know. I just don't know how to explain this to my clients. So I really would like to hear your thoughts on why women's skin is more sensitive than men's.
It's just a biological reality that women's skin is more sensitive than men's. I always get this figure wrong. Is it 20 times or 200 times more sensitive? I'm not quite sure. But it's, I mean, you probably know the sensate focusing technique from clinical sexology, but, touch the way that you want to be touched, and then have the other touch you. And classically, when you do that with a man and with a woman, you will find that the man, even though the woman touches him as lightly as she wants to be touched, when he touches her, it's actually much harder. And so it's like this finding this lightness and just being, and it's just a beautiful, I mean, it's such a beautiful game to play together. It's like, what quality, experiment. It's just, I just love having couples experiment with, what type of touch do you want? Just communicating. I want it harder. I want it lighter. I want it slower. I want you to scratch me a little bit, whatever it is, but finding those places, or I need firm touch right now. I need gentle, firm touch because I need to land in my body. It's all about communication that we're able to give to another, to just guide them and instruct them so that they can get a feeling of what it is to be in the other's body. So I think a lot of it really helps the demos and one to another really help. And then the quality of the communication and helping couples to actually improve their communication then enables them to actually really, really fine tune that touch. So that personally, that's how I do it. Yeah.
That's really valuable. Thank you very much.
Bringing you the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio, your conscious lifestyle on steroids. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
And I'm Susan Schuler.
And I'm Lori Walker.
And we are
the Psychic Angel Channelers
from Angel Talk Tuesday.
Tune in every week at 10 a.m. Eastern on OMTimesRadio.com.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Bathe in the beautiful vibrational frequency to help you heal, expand, and remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way. It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
And welcome back to Eros Evolution. This is where we talk about the link between sex and spirit. And this is the last 15 minutes of today's show. And yes, be sure to check out her website. That's jennijoy.co.uk and also serenityinleadership.com. So just before our show, I went to both websites. And I really love it. I love both your websites, the way it's designed, and also how I can subscribe to them so that I don't miss anything. I understand that Serenity in Leadership is in development. Is that right?
Yes, we've got a retreat probably at the end of January. We've been doing preliminary workshops over the course of this year. I've wanted for a long time to, like about 8 years ago, I had this idea for sort of boardroom tantra, and I was like, how can I take these amazing things that I've learned through my tantric practices and take them into my leadership coaching work? And it's always been one of those areas that just feels too difficult. But the one bit that has kind of crossed over a little bit are the practices of orgasmic vitality, because, you know, high-powered execs are very, very stressed, and they're looking for new ways of dealing with that. So that piece was an obvious place to cross over. And then we started working on serenity and leadership, and there was this piece around actually when we do these practices, sort of modern body-orientated practices that are taking, you know, the best of what's available from the body-centered practices and from the energetic disciplines like shamanism and like tantra. This is a great piece for people, and so it was very much helping to bring people back to their core, as I talked about on the last segment. That's a piece which is a big piece for leaders right now. There's a big piece around understanding the dynamics of masculine and feminine qualities and how they play out in individuals, and then how they're playing out in stereotypes and gender stereotyping still at work and in real ways with pay. So there's a big piece around that. But obviously getting in touch with our own sort of inner man and inner woman first. I did a beautiful workshop a couple of weekends ago called Embodying the Divine Courtesan, which is really about how a woman can become her sexually empowered. But a big piece of that was finding her inner man who holds her and enables her to be that person in the world. So, you know, if these are, for me, these are kind of like original archetypes. And so when we work with these archetypes within ourselves, it's just very, again, it's a very, very simple and easy system to look at where are we out of balance, out of whack in our lives, and where can we bring this back into focus, or to bring it into a new form of imprint that works much more better and more powerfully for us in our lives. So we might look at it and say, my goodness, I'm running a whole load of feminine energy at the moment. My life's getting very disorganized and pretty chaotic, and I need to bring in some consciousness here and actually look at, for example, my daily habits, review my how I'm spending my time each day with a journaling practice, these kinds of things. What do I need to do to actually bring more consciousness and awareness to my life and to be the person I really want to be? So, you know, and to complete the journey that I'm here for in this life. So, and today in leadership, we've sort of been this planetary crisis where, you know, we are facing a world where things are the world's becoming increasingly insecure, and environmentally we've got a lot of major issues ahead of us at the moment. And so we need planetary transformation on a large scale right now, and very, very quickly. So Serenity and Leadership is about creating a program for leaders which gives them access to the personal tools they need to be the leader they can be, that can actually manifest that level of change in the world. And the key thing about learning these energy systems is that we do get access to what we know as flow states and higher levels of consciousness. And, you know, we are going to have to, as Einstein said, you know, we cannot solve problems at the level of consciousness at which they were created. We need to solve problems with a higher level of consciousness. So that piece is key, you know, and it's ultimately all got to come back to the way that we're manifesting love and leading with love in the world, whether we're leading businesses or how we're leading our own lives, our own self-love programs, and how we're leading with love in our couple relationships and the way that we want to be with our intimate partner. So this is it's a piece that goes through all of my coaching, but I'm very grateful that we found this vehicle and serenity and leadership to actually take it into that world. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And I did see on your website that you are already running it. And yes, so it's important to do these things and just keep fine tuning it and make it really good, because there's always this distance that we can't seem to breach when it comes to sex in corporates. I found it really challenging. I'm really, really so inspired by the fact that you're doing it and offering it to the world. So you also have this online challenge called Radiant.
8 years to do that. Yes, sorry.
Oh, wow. So you have this online challenge called Radiant Sensuality. So you have these challenges. So tell us how you developed these challenges.
Well, this was very much related to what we talked about at the beginning of the call, which was that as I've worked with people over the years, I've realized that actually if I can work with people on habitual change in their daily lives, whatever they're trying to do, whatever they've come to see me about, whether it's about problems they've got communicating in their relationship, whether it's about their desire to have a meditation practice in their lives, whatever it is, it all comes down to actually what is it that I'm doing at the moment and what is it that I need to change. And so looking at, how do I do that? It all comes down to habits. So whilst I love doing workshops where we can deep dive into whether it's tantra massage or whether it's like, how can I be sexually empowered as a woman? Whether it's how can I rewire my body for more pleasure with my body love and orgasmic empowerment workshop. But what's really lovely is to actually give people daily practices. And what I found was that people do like the idea of a challenge. And so if I put an online program together where actually I get a group of people together that are all doing the same challenge together, and they can actually be in community and support each other with that. So as I tested that, I found it was just far more effective. And so what I love is that I can very easily with this particular format, I set a 30-day challenge up, the one that I've got coming up, Radiant Sensuality, with Katrine. It's one of our flagship juicy programs, is Radiant Sensuality. And it's just giving women a different daily sensual practice to actually help them to resensitize their bodies. So we've got this one for women. We'll have an Advent one for Christmas for couples, and then we'll have one for men in the new year. And it's great because people can go into them and they can just do it just a little bit through the year, and it just helps them and supports them in actually really transforming the way that they're adding pleasure into their lives, rather than pleasure being something I'll do later when I've got time for it. It's like, what happens if I can reorientate my life so that actually pleasure, fun, ease, joy are the things that I'm bringing to every action in my daily life, whether it's particularly sexual, sensual ones, or whether it's just everything that I'm doing with my life. Let's do it with those qualities. Radiant Sensuality program is running during October. So it's a 30-day challenge for women in October. It's for women that want to learn to connect with their body in an entirely new way, to feel more sensation, more aliveness, more of this energy of orgasm running through their body in all of their body, rather than a lot of them will talk about not feeling that energy or being very localized around the genitals, becoming much more aware of what our bodies actually really want. What do we really want essentially? What do we really want sexually? Getting much more in touch with our needs and desires. Feeling this desire arise from a place of sensation, from a place of relaxation, and then finding new types of arousal and learning actually how do we power up these bigger orgasmic experiences through use of classic tantric practices like breath and sound and movement and visualization. So that course starts in October. It is $67, I believe, and I think I've put an offer together for us, Martha, for the show, which is $10 off that program. So if you would like that gift voucher, then please email me at events@jennijoy.co.uk.
Great.
In fact, I tell you what I'll do. I'll put a code in. So if you just use the code EROS, then that will give you access to the voucher for that program. And it will also be valid for the couples program if you'd like that in December.
Great. And the couples program is in December, you mentioned. So it's the Art of Tantra Massage Intensive course.
Oh, no, that's actually that's a workshop. So that's an intensive workshop in Thailand. It's open to anybody who would like to do it. And that is running from the 5th to the 22nd of December. And if you would like to sign up for that after this show, then I will offer you $300 off the price, which is $2,000 for individuals. And I think there's also a slightly different price for couples. I don't have to hand. So again, contact me and I'll let you know.
Great. So do reach out to Jenni Joy at her website, jennijoy.co.uk. So she has two offers, $10 off and also $300 off Radiant Sensuality and $300 off the Art of Tantra Massage. So just drop her email if you're interested to work with her. I think she's amazing. And yeah, I really enjoyed this show. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much, Martha. It was wonderful to be on here. Much love and blessings to everybody that's been listening, and may you have lots more radiant sensualities throughout your lives, every moment of the day.
Thank you. So stay tuned next week. I'm not going to be here. My friend Lucy Rowett will be here.